On any given day when I go on a diet, only three things could happen to my weight as a result of the decisions that I make that day. My weight can go up, my weight can stay the same, or my weight can go down. Yes, there's no other state of the world. Well, if you let in hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people that have that level of endemic Jew hatred, is it going to be that Jew hatred goes up, stays the same, or goes down? So it's really not a rocket science kind of enigma.
Why is it that after every terrorist attack, we're told the cause was poverty, climate change, social media, lack of opportunity, or even video games, but almost never the reason the attackers themselves give? That's the question best-selling author and evolutionary psychologist Dr. Gad Saad asks in this controversial speech delivered in Toronto, Canada. Drawing from decades of research, his experience growing up in Lebanon, and the rise of antisemitism following October 7th, Dr. Saad argues that the West has become increasingly afraid to confront uncomfortable truths even when the evidence is right in front of us. Whether you agree with him or strongly disagree, what you're about to hear is one of the most provocative arguments being made today. Here's Dr. Gad Saad.
I think also what we're seeing here, especially in our country, we're seeing the defense of Islamists and Islamism more than, Islam. Islam is the religion. Islamism, Islamist is the political kind of arm of that. And you see that the Islamists are the ones that are getting the Marxists and the socialists and
Yes.
the communists. Do you see that getting worse?
There is no Islamism versus Islam. Islamism is the great part of Islam. Usually you talk about it as if Islamism is some variant that has nothing to do. It's, Islam is here. No, about 10% of Islam is the spiritual element, right? Sufis are very spiritual and they wouldn't harm a fly. But Islam itself is Islamism. It's a political doctrine of supremacy. We will have peace in the world when we are all united, inshallah, under the flag of Allah, right? So it is Islamism. They're indistinguishable. So it's not a good idea to constantly create a false schism between these two. They're one of the same. You see up there, this is from a very reputable site that catalogs all of the terror attacks since 9/11 alone. And we're now at 45,385 terror attacks in the name of one religion in nearly 70 countries, okay? The existence of gravity is not as clear as what the conclusion should be here. Do you know what all our politicians and all of our bien-pensant professors have told us? By the way, these are right here are some of the causes that have been proposed. Causes in quotes. People think that when I'm doing this, I'm just being my humorous self. I'm not. These are literal examples. So let's go through a few of them. So remember, there's been 45,000 plus terror attacks where the person goes up in front of a camera, says, I'm about to do this, and here are the specific quotes from my holy book why I'm doing this, right? So there's really nothing to debate. Yes? All right. It's due to lone wolfism. That's the real cause. It's due to man-made disasters. It's due to violent video games. Which of us didn't play Galaga in 1981 and go ahead and bombed a bus stop in Tel Aviv? The fourth one is a really good one. Lack of adequate exposure to art. That one was for some terror attacks in Belgium. I think it was Belgium. The causal link is very clear. No Chagall, I throw gays off rooftops. But this, by the way, again, these are my colleagues saying this, right? This is not a person who escaped from a psychiatric institute. Well, they are a psychiatric institute. They're called professors, okay? It's due to beard bullying. The San Bernardino case about 10 years ago, husband and wife team, I think from Pakistan, it's because at work they were beard bullying him. That's why I keep my beard really tight, because if it grows longer, and then some of you may tease me about it, here comes ISIS. Bill Nye, the science guy, explained to us that the Bataclan attack in Paris, where 180 plus people were mowed down, where the guys who mowed them down said why they did it, he said, oh, no, it's because of lack of solar panels. It's climate change. How are you going to win the war to save civilization when those are the voices that are being heard? It's due to climate change? Really? It's due to solar panels? And it goes on and on and on. And here, since 9/11 alone, in nearly 70 countries, at the time when I put up this tweet, they were only at 44,000. 44,000 plus terror attacks were committed in the name of one religion. Which is it? Well, 10% said that the 44,000 attacks at that point were committed by Jews. That's a tough, I mean, you could love the IDF for all their physical heroism, but boy, are we losing the informational war. When it comes to that, there's no IDF. We truly are wimps because the other guys are completely winning it. We often hear about the genocide that's taken place in the Israel-Palestine conflict. There's been a complete erasure of Jews in the Middle East. You have the numbers on top, 265,000 in Morocco. It's now about 2,000. Lebanon is actually less than 100. I saw one estimate that placed it at under 40 Jews. But those 40 Jews don't live in a community, right? Someone got married in 1962 to a Christian woman. And yes, they're Jewish in terms of their heritage, but they're not. There's no community to call a Jewish community in Lebanon. Whereas in the past, there certainly was. And so if you look at all of these numbers, you see that there's almost non-existence of Jewish life throughout the Middle East. Now, here is this is Pew survey. So Pew is hardly, a right-wing survey organization. If anything, you might think that they're more on the progressive end. They do many global surveys that are very much nonpartisan. Now, this is the results of what do you think of Jews across several Islamic countries. Now, if I were to tell you that, say, 10% of the sampled people had very negative, abhorrent views of the Jews, that should, perk up your ears, right? I mean, 10% is a big number. What if I tell you that the numbers are 95% in Egypt, 97% in Jordan, my country of Lebanon, 98%, Palestinian territories, 97%, and it doesn't matter whether it's the West Bank or Gaza and so on. So now let's see if we can put this all together. If you bring in hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, into your societies, and they're coming in with values that place them at 95 to 99% Jew hatred, it probably doesn't take a fancy professor and evolutionary psychologist to predict whether Jew hatred is going to go up in the host country. Because a lot of my super progressive academic colleagues that speak with a lisp because they're very progressive, they don't know exactly. See, now I'm speaking with a lisp because I'm intellectual. They don't know why there's Jew hatred in the West. Well, here's why there's Jew hatred in the West. Because on any given day when I go on a diet, only three things could happen to my weight as a result of the decisions that I make that day. My weight can go up, my weight can stay the same, or my weight can go down. Yes, there's no other state of the world. Well, if you let in hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people that have that level of endemic Jew hatred, is it going to be that Jew hatred goes up, stays the same, or goes down? So it's really not a rocket science kind of enigma. But, of course, as we'll see later, there is something called ostrich parasitic syndrome. Bury your head in the sand and go la, la, la. Hopefully, if I sing and ignore it, it will go away. It won't. If your physician says you've got stage 4 pancreatic cancer, you might want to not ignore it, even though that probably means that you're going to die soon. So maybe there isn't too many things that you could do. But my point is that pay attention. Listen to the people warning you. And by the way, I hate to say it, some of the people who pay the least attention are progressive Jews. This is the United Nations. I mean, this is data from a few years ago, but the point is as valid today, if not more. This shows the number of condemnations of the entire world versus Israel. But you see, the United Nations is not at all biased. They're just going to where the truth is. So Israel has 62 condemnations. The rest of the world, including North Korea, China, Pakistan, 55. So the singular country called Israel deserves more global condemnation than every other nasty actor around the world. But surely that's probably because they're non-biased. And then there's, of course, the Islamic sources of Jew hatred. And what really took me aback during, post October 7th is that everywhere that I turned, I had the various gangs coming after me. So it's not as though I could have a respite. I could just focus on Islamic Jew hatred. It was coming at me from every direction. So this is at Concordia. I wrote an article in the National Post. This was about a month after October 7th. Concordia University is unsafe for Jewish students and professors like me. This is the Montreal riot police. This is not Concordia security. This is the Montreal riot police standing outside of Concordia to protect its Jewish population. When I told my dean, I'm currently on sabbatical leave, so luckily I have a bit of a respite, but September is coming around and I'm supposed to go back. When I told her, look, it's infeasible for me to return. It's insane. She said that there's absolutely no documented evidence that there's any Jew hatred at Concordia University. By the way, I don't know if it's legal or not. That conversation is taped, so I've got it in my back pocket. So there is no Jew hatred, but a few months later, the president of Concordia, along with 3 other presidents of universities, appeared in front of the Canadian Parliament, in front of a committee in the Canadian Parliament or Senate or whatever it was, right? So that's the kind of difficulties that you're now facing, where people say there's no such thing as diabetes. You're making it up. There is no diabetes.
That was Dr. Gad Saad speaking at a Tafsik event in Toronto, Canada. Whether you agree with his conclusions or not, his central question is one that's becoming harder to ignore. Are we confronting the causes of extremism honestly, or are we creating explanations that make us feel more comfortable? As debates over immigration, free speech, antisemitism, terrorism, and Western values continue to intensify around the world, these conversations aren't going away anytime soon. What do you think? Is Dr. Saad right, or is he missing something important? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And for more conversations that challenge conventional thinking, subscribe to Stand Tall Israel, and please consider becoming a member. We'll see you in the next one.